Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all doing well out there in Beatles land, YouTubers, music fans, record collectors, members of the VC, and anybody that's just happened to come across this little channel of ours. Before I start properly on this video, I just want to say a massive thank you to everybody that supported me, not over the last year, but since the channel started. You know, I've had some fantastic subscribers, I've had some fantastic comments, I've had some, lots of likes and things like that. You know, without you lot out there, this channel would not be what it is today. And it is all down to people out there. It's not down to me just doing, I do the work to do the videos, but if people don't like them and subscribe and things like that, then I'm wasting my time, aren't I? But it just proves that I'm not wasting my time, because the viewing figures are going up, subscriptions are still going up, and I'm getting lots of likes and comments. You know, doing a YouTube channel, I don't know if anybody else has found this. It's quite weird, but weird in a nice way. Sometimes you'll have an idea for a video and you think, yeah, that's going to get loads and loads of views. So you do it, you put a lot of work into it, you do a lot of research, and it might get hardly any views. But then you do something really like off the cuff sort of thing, and you think, well, that's only going to be like a little video. I'll probably get a couple of hundred views if I'm lucky. And they can sometimes be some of the biggest videos, for views that you get. It's very, very strange. I don't know if that's just me or if other channels are experiencing things like that. Obviously, not everything I do. Like I did one on the Beatles Christmas records, and I can understand not everybody wants to see that. And I've done things on other artists, not everybody wants to see it. But it's just amazing sometimes, because the things that you think are going to be successful aren't, and the things that you think aren't going to be successful are. That's not a criticism, that's just a observation. So once again, thank you to everybody that has subscribed, leaving likes and leaving comments. You all mean the world to me. And if you're not subscribed, by the way, just think about subscribing. It is free, it doesn't cost you a penny. Right, so I watched a video either last week or the week before, and I can't remember if it was by Gav Axman Spins or Nick's Vinyl Butty. So check out those two channels, by the way. Well, it could have actually been featured on both of them, and it's this album, Beginnings by Slade. So technically this is the debut album by Slade, or that this time was still called Slade. This was originally released on the Fontana label in 1969, I think, and to get an original copy of this, you are talking a small fortune. I looked on eBay after this came yesterday, and I was amazed at how much a genuine first pressing of this is, a UK pressing. There is a Beatles connection, which I'll come to in a minute. Excuse me, still got a little bit of a cold, but it's nothing to worry about. Right, so I think you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You get 12 songs on this. Some of it you can see how Slade will going to progress. Some of it is already here. Some cracking tunes on this, to be fair. So I'll go through the track list and then I'll show you the actual vinyl, and then I'll tell you what I think of it. Right, so side one kicks off with Genesis. That's the name of the song. Then Everybody's Next Out, Knocking Nails Into My House, Roach Daddy, Ain't Got No Heart, and Play the Mark, I think that says. Side two, I think, is a slightly better side. I think side two just knocks side one just a little bit. Brilliant songs. Every song on this is absolutely amazing. Side two is Mad Dog Cole, Fly Me High, If This Were Mine, Martha My Dear. Yes, the Beatles song. They do a version of this, complete with Jim on violin. It's actually quite a good rendition, to be honest. Born to Be Wild, fantastic rendition of that. They later did a version of that on Slade Alive. This compares very favourably with that. And then Journey into the Centre of Your Mind, which is quite a psychedelic sort of song. So like I say, this is the beginnings of Slade, when they were still called Ambrose Slade. I think this has been reissued a few times on things like Contour and Hallmark, but even they are quite expensive. This came to the grand total of £25, and that was with postage and packing. Came yesterday. I was a bit tired when I came home from work yesterday, so I've waited to today. I've had a quick tidy up in the music room. While I was tidying up in the music room, I played this. Not once, but twice. See, in the UK, everybody seems to think that Slade just did Merry Christmas, everyone. There weren't. There was more to Slade than that. They did some fantastic albums. They did do a lot of fantastic singles. I think there was the most successful band in the UK in the 1970s in record sales. I'm on about. They had loads of number one singles. Slade. I was brought up on things like this and David Bowie and T-Rex and things like that. In the 70s, even into the 80s, you always had records by these being played on the radio. In the mid 80s, late 80s, Noddy left, and then I think Jim left. You can still go and see a version of Slade even to this day. Now, wouldn't it be nice? No disrespect, but none of these gentlemen on here are getting any younger. Wouldn't it be nice if they just did like one last show? This lineup, the original lineup of Slade, not necessarily a concert like in a field or anything like that. They could do a television concert or something like that, just to get the 4 original members back together for one last time while there is still time to do it. So if you're listening, Noddy, Jim, Dave, just one last, even if it's just to do one song or something, just the original lineup, I think that would be absolutely fantastic. My mother was born in Birmingham, and of course the Black Country is where Slade came from, so there's always been like a little bit of a connection there. The songs on here there's not a bad song. I've listened to it, like I say, two times in the last 2 hours. So as a packaging whole, very, very good. Like I say, original copies of this are extremely expensive. This is on coloured vinyl, and it's on BMG. So that is the label. The only downside, if there's a downside to this fantastic album, is it's just coming a plain paper sleeve. No anti-static sleeve, no, could have done like an inner sleeve with some photos on or something. But then I suppose that might have put the price of this record up. Right, are you sitting comfortably? Now this is absolutely amazing. Coloured vinyl, picture disc, whatever you want to call it. I've never seen anything like this, and I was actually blown away. In fact, when I unwrapped this, I had to go downstairs and show Sue, and she goes, "Wow, is that playable?" And I goes, "Yeah, look at that, look at that," and it is slightly translucent. Like if you look, you can just see my thumb there. Look. I don't know what you would call this. It does say on it somewhere. So BMG side 1 stereo beginnings Ambrose Slade, although it does say Slade there. Ambrose Slade is still credited at the bottom there. So that is the label and the track listing for side 1. If you want to freeze and zoom in, you can get the publishing credits and that lot. And then that is side 2. Again, if you want to freeze and zoom in, you're welcome. Look at that. I love that. I just think that's weird, but weird in a nice sort of way. So come on, Noddy and the boys. Can we get together, or can we get you 4 together just for one last time? I know Noddy's not very well and things like that, so I was watching a few clips last night of old Top of the Pops where they're performing Merry Christmas Everyone, and one of them was from the 80s, and I'm sure it's got Chrissy Hides in the audience, and they've all got like these like white scarves that say Slade on them, and they're going like that. They were a fun band, weren't they? They were a fun band, but they did have a serious side. I think Noddy and Jim are very underrated in some ways as songwriters. And Jim could play anything. He could play the guitar, he could play the bass, he could play the violin. I just saw, before I came up to do this, and Jim doing Merry Christmas Everyone, an acoustic version. It's just him on an acoustic guitar, and it's actually very, very moving. They're still very, very active, and I know Dave's been in touch with Noddy and things like that. So hopefully, fingers crossed, there could be some sort of reunion. I think, if they're going to do it, they've got to do it in the next year or so. They haven't got to do it, have they? Noddy's quite happy in his retirement, isn't he, now, sort of thing. But, it would be nice just to see them all on stage just for one last time. When I say stage, it doesn't have to be a concert, I think a lot of people would love to see these four back on, or doing something for one last time. And look at that, how psychedelic is that, Steve? Fantastic album. I can't praise this enough. For saying I've only, played it a couple of times, I'm hooked. I've always liked Slade anyway. I've got quite a few Slade albums. Slade also did make a film in the 70s. They made a film called Slade in Flame, and they don't play Slade, they play the band Flame. That's the name of the band. That's a very, very interesting film. I don't know if you can still get it. You used to be able to get it on YouTube. And me and Sue watched it a couple of years ago, and it's actually quite a gritty film in some ways. For saying that everybody always thinks these were a fun time band, which to a certain extent they were. Noddy's part in it is very, very good. They all play brilliant in it. So if you can ever get a chance to see that, and the accompanying album is fantastic as well. So here we go. Ambrose Slade Beginnings, the debut album from Slade, one of the most successful bands ever to come out of the UK in the 1970s. If you can find this, even if you're just a casual fan, you'll like it. If you got a couple of Slade albums, especially if you've got Slade Alive, Volume 1, by the way, it's worth getting this just to see the studio version, compare that to the live version. And if you're like me and you're a bit of a Beatles nerd and things like that, there was also the Beatles collection, because they do Martha My Dear. And again, there used to be a clip on YouTube in black and white of the boys doing that, but there was promoted as a skinhead band at the time. They all had quite short hair. It looks really, really weird seeing Slade with like cropped hair, basically. So yeah, if you ever see this out the travels, it's not a lot of money. If you could ever get the original, that is a lot of money, and it's worth a lot of money. Yeah, fantastic debut album. Stay tuned, because I will be trying to do a few more videos on the run up to Christmas. I'm not quite sure how many I'm going to do. So whatever you're doing, please stay safe. Thanks again to everybody that is supporting the channel. It does mean a lot. You are the beat of Beatle Dave, and I love you all. So until the next time, peace, love and happiness to you all. And as my mate Beatle Brad would say, I'm out of here. Whoosh.